But plenty of cities like to attach the word historic in front of the name of their city in an effort to lure tourists to their city. But while many towns define themselves as historic places, in reality, there aren't too many towns quite as historic as Bethlehem.
James Burnside, originally from County Meath, Ireland, travelled to Georgia and in 2 years suffered much tragedy, 2 devastating fires and the death of his first wife. He befriended a member of the Moravian Church in Georgia and came north, eventually becoming a Moravian missionary. His daughter Rebecca died at the age of 6 of smallpox. The following year, he married Mary Wendover, a Moravian widow from the Moravian congregation in New York. Burnside bought a 500-acre tract of land from John Stephen Benezet in 1748. He sold 200 acres to a group of Moravians in 1751. In 1758, Burnside's widow sold the remaining 300 acres to the Moravian Church. The church leased the plantation to individual farmers from 1765 to 1845. The plantation was sold to Charles A. Lukenbach, who sold it to William Lurch in 1853. It stayed in the Lurch family until 1928, when it sold and was divided between the Hoffleys and the Burkes. Lehigh County bought the plantation in 1986 and leased it into the private corporation Historic Bethlehem Museums and Sites to restore, develop, and manage it as a living and natural history resource. The farmhouse was built by James and Mary Burnside in 1748. From 1760 to 1765, Johann Gottlob Klemm and David Tannenberg crafted organs here. The addition of a beehive oven on the west wall of the kitchen is believed to have been used in the process of forming instruments. Burnside Plantation was the first privately held property in the settlement and first private home. In 1752, James was elected as the first representative to the Pennsylvania Provincial Assembly from the newly formed Northampton County. He was a contemporary of Benjamin Franklin, serving with him on the Committee for Indian Affairs. 3 years after his death, Mary sold the farm to the Moravian Church, and it became plantation number 4 in the Moravian farming system. 3 Moravian plantations were located in what is now South Bethlehem. The summer kitchen was added so the heat of cooking would not warm the farmhouse during the summer months. Today, the kitchen is a center for colonial culinary experiences during festivals and special events. The apple orchard produced tasty fruit for the Moravians. From these apples, they made pies, apple butter, cider, and schnitz or dried apples. The orchard contains 4 types of heritage apple trees: Newton Pippin, Rhode Island Greening, Roxbury Russet, and Esopus Spitzenberg. On August 8, 1755, he suffered a stroke and died. Burnside was buried in the Godsacre Moravian Cemetery in Bethlehem with more than 350 people attending his funeral. Because there were only 500 folks living in Bethlehem at the time, it was quite a turnout. His wife Mary must have tired of Bethlehem, for she returned to New York a few years later. She died in 1774. The Moravian Church, which had already purchased 200 acres from Burnside in 1751, got the rest of the land in 1758.
Bethlehem is truly a historic city, with 19 sites listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Only Philadelphia has more historic sites in Pennsylvania. In the mid-1980s, a group of preservationists and environmentalists, led by Gertie Fox, petitioned Lehigh County to purchase the last remaining tract of the Burnside Plantation, some 6.5 acres. Their goal: to save as open space and to preserve the heart of an 18th century farm within the city limits of the city of Bethlehem. The site includes one of the only remaining working high horsepower wheels in the United States. Burnside Plantation is listed on the National Register of Historic Places.